This is Mark Rosen from WCCO TV, and it's my pleasure to introduce my good friend Ron Henderson, the Fitness King, presenting Motivation, one word to help change your life.
Welcome to Motivation. I'm Ron Henderson, aka the Fitness King. On today's show, I have the great pleasure of having Mr. Blong Yang on Motivation. Now, John.
Nhớ rồng.
All right. Ganya Alijala.
Cũng nhớ rồng thêm à? Con này.
Gane Gujong.
Okay.
Gujong. So we had to get that away. I told him I was going to practice my Hmong on him. I understand that you're running for a county commissioner for District 2.
Right, that's correct.
Okay. Before we get into your run, and I really want to talk about that, just find out your history, can you tell us something about yourself that most people don't know? And, you know, perhaps maybe even your wife who's sitting here doesn't know as well, possibly.
You know, I would like to think that my wife knows most things about me. So, you know, the two things that I could really think about is one, you know, I've never gone hunting before.
Okay.
And two, I grew up a devout Catholic, and you know, I think most people would think that's very different, just you know, from what traditional Hmong folks practice, and you know, that's kind of the two things that you know I think most people would probably not know about me. You know, considering that I fish a lot. So.
Okay, sounds good. Now, you're running for county commissioner. There are a myriad of professions that you could have gotten into. How did this all start? Because you used to be on the, in fact, you're one of the first one on the city council, I believe.
In Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis,
right.
Okay. Where did this all start? Did you grow up saying, hey, you know, I want to be a person of power and authority?
You know, let me just say that, like, I don't think any kid who grows up poor, you know, from an immigrant background, really thinks that. I mean, I think just surviving is probably the first and foremost the most important thing for you. And so, you know, I think, I mean, when I took a government class in high school, you know, and I saw, you know, I mean, we were studying civics and learning about just government in general, and just seeing that all these people who were lawyers were, you know, our founding fathers, they were folks who were making history, basically.
Yes.
And, you know, I just thought, gosh, I mean, why not me? Like, why can't I be like that?
Oh, yeah.
And so that was kind of just, you know, one of the things that sparked my interest in politics. But, you know, when I went to law school, I, you know, finished law school at the University of Minnesota, and I really didn't think that politics was in my future, just because, you know, I think, I mean, when I was growing up during that time period, I mean...
And what was it like growing up?
You know, it was hard. You know, I grew up in the Central Valley area, Merced, California. You know, I was kind of the awkward kid who was, you know, pretty tall by the time I was like in grade school. And so, you know.
Pretty tall?
Pretty tall, like, you know, Hmong tall, okay? So I was probably about...
That's a new, I've never heard that Hmong tall.
I was probably about 5'4". Everybody else was probably...
All right,
you know,
now don't try to make a movie now, crazy Hmong.
But, you know, I was taller than most of the kids. I was skinny, and, you know, so basically, you know, I was growing up during the period in which there were a lot of gangs, especially Hmong gangs that were forming during that time. And, you know, I was one of the lucky ones that kind of escaped that life. But, I mean, you know, I had friends, family members, you know, other folks who were a part of the gang life. And so it was difficult, you know, and we grew up on public assistance during that whole time. And
the government cheese?
Yes.
That's some good cheese. I had some of that government cheese. Folks, Fitness King's telling you I had some of that government cheese, and it's very good. It's a big block of government cheese.
You know, I would say it's not that good, especially for, you know,
in those days.
Yeah, especially for Asian Americans who are lactose intolerant.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah, some of us are, yes. Yeah.
Did your parents, were they pretty supportive of you growing up?
You know, as much as they could. You know, my father had an 8th grade education. My mom didn't have an education. My mom, to this day, doesn't speak English very well. My dad spoke English pretty well, but, you know, like, they could help us as much as they could, but for the most part, like, they couldn't help us with our homework. They couldn't do a lot of different things that, you know, you expect most American parents to be able to do.
Right. So how did you get through with your homework and those things?
Just doing it on your own. I mean, just working hard, basically, and spending extra time. You know, and I mean, my parents would tell you stories about how, like, you know, everyone would be asleep and I would be, you know, up for another couple hours or so just doing homework, and that's just because, you know, you had to. Yeah.
Okay, so you graduated from high school, you went to college.
Right.
And you're also an attorney too.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What was that transition like for you, going from high school to college, then into law school for you?
So,
being your background.
Right. You know, I mean, I went to UCLA for undergrad, and when I went to UCLA, I mean, it was strange in the sense that, here's this Hmong kid from the Central Valley area going to this school about 4 hours away, and, I mean, I saw a lot of Asian folks, but none of them like me necessarily, poor and Hmong. I mean, my class, I think we might have had like 4 or 5 Hmong kids go to that school, but like, UCLA, I mean, the numbers were probably about 1/3, Asian Americans, and so it was everybody else but us. And it was a transition. I mean, it was hard in the sense that it was away from my family and also away from the Hmong community, and so that part of it was difficult, but it was liberating. I mean, here I was, making my own decisions, doing my own thing, and I mean, I was responsible for my success or my failure, and so it was hard, but I mean, it was good for me to have that experience. And then when I came up to law school, I mean, it was a culture shock of sorts because here I was, first time that I had been out of state, to Minnesota, and I mean, out of state in the sense that like we came to the States to Oklahoma first before we went to California, but when I came to Minnesota, I mean, I was on my own completely. I drove my Honda Civic hatchback and put everything of importance in my life in that car and just came up here. And so,
How old were you then?
I was, let's see, at that time I was about 22.
Wow.
And, I mean, the thing was, with me at that time was just that, I think there was a lot of family turmoil. And so that was the biggest challenge. It wasn't even the school. It was just the family issues and those sorts of things that made it really difficult. And I came to Minnesota at a time when the Hmong population up here just doubled overnight. And I didn't come for that. I came for school. Yeah.
Right.
So,
So what type of, if I can interrupt you, Blong, what type of law do you practice?
Yeah, so I don't practice law anymore, but when
did you practice?
When I was practicing, I did civil rights work.
Okay.
I did family law. I did wills and trusts. I did commitment defense work, which is pretty much mental health law.
Okay.
And so, number of different things.
What do you do right now?
Right now, I mean, we are managing some properties that we own, and outside of that, I'm running for office.
Okay. So, and I mentioned that earlier, there's so many different professions you could have actually gone into.
Right.
Why did you choose politics?
So, in around 2010, 2011, there, we had some crimes that were committed against us, to our house. A couple of times, folks kicked in our back door. We got through a burglary and, a few other things like that. And, we had small kids at that point.
Right.
And so, we live in North Minneapolis. We got to a point where we just decided, it was either fight or flight.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And it was difficult because, what we were facing was just, we weren't thinking about ourselves necessarily, my wife and myself. We were thinking about our kids. And so, we just kind of thought about, either we're going to move to someplace else, and likely that was St. Paul, or we're going to stay and fight and, do things differently. And, well, we know the story. We stayed and we fought. And, one of the pieces of fighting was just, running for office. And,
and what was that? What was the year that you actually ran for city council?
The first time I ran was 2012. I ran for the same seat, Hennepin County Commissioner, District 2. The next year, 2013, was when I ran for city council in Minneapolis.
Were in that position, were you able to make some of the changes in areas that you wanted to?
On the Minneapolis City Council?
City Council?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, we were in the recovery phases of, the Great Recession. There were a lot of foreclosed homes, a lot of tax forfeited properties, and those sorts of things. And one of the things that I got moving was, we as a city of Minneapolis, sold a lot of our inventory of houses to people for $1, and
I remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
and so we encourage people to buy these houses and rehab these houses, and either live in them or sell them. And so I think we did a lot of good there. We built a lot of affordable housing in the area, and also just encouraging people to build brand new houses there. And the city has an incentive program where if you want to build a brand new house on a city lot, the city will give you $20,000 to build a brand new house. And so
even right now.
Yes. So those are kind of the things that are maybe legacies that I have left behind.
Are people aware of that? I was unaware of that.
I would hope so. I think it's.
Well, now.
Yes, now you know. Yes. $20,000 to build a house. I mean, if you look at a house,
And who do they contact for that?
the city of Minneapolis. So
Okay.
you would contact the Community Planning and Economic Development arm of the city of Minneapolis, and that is, you know, the department that actually, you know, oversees that program
Okay.
or the housing program there.
Okay. You got elected. How did that affect the Hmong community, and were they supportive of that?
You know,
curious.
if I'm being really honest, I mean,
Of course, you should be honest.
You know, Minneapolis is kind of, I mean, it's the biggest city in Minnesota, but for Hmong folks, Minneapolis is probably maybe the second or third biggest city versus St. Paul in terms of importance. You know, I mean, most of the population of the Hmong are in St. Paul. You know, there's probably about 45,000 Hmong people there versus in Minneapolis where there's about 10,000. And so, you know, I think what we did was important and historic, but I mean, it wasn't really a blip necessarily in the Hmong community.
Okay. Did they come out and vote for you? Do Hmong people vote?
They do,
typically?
yes. I would say they do. I think that, you know, they have to have a reason to go out and vote. But, you know, for the folks that, you know, live in Ward 5, or the
Yep.
folks that live in North Minneapolis, I mean, they do come out and vote. And, you know, I mean, we gave them a reason to come in and vote in 2013.
Right, right. What were some of the other things that you accomplished in the city council?
Yeah, you know, we put body cameras on police officers, you know, every single police officer that is on the beat and, you know, in other specialized units as well. You know, we got people to garden on, you know, empty vacant lots to save the city money. Gosh, I mean, there are a number of different things that we did, but I mean, for the most part, I mean, I'd like to think that, you know, we did what we could to, you know, make people's lives better.
Right, right. So if I can ask you, Blong, why are you running for commissioner at this time?
Yeah. You know,
And what are you really running for?
right. Yeah. So I'm running for county commissioner because, you know, I just want to improve people's lives. I want to make things better for the good people in District 2. I mean, the 165,000 of them that live there. And, you know, we have a range of different people in District 2 from, you know, maybe the fairly wealthy to, you know, the fairly poor
Right,
and everything in between. You know, the district runs from St. Anthony on the east end to Plymouth on the west end, and everything in between. You have northeast Minneapolis, you have North Minneapolis, you have Golden Valley,
Right.
you have Medicine Lake and Plymouth. And so, you know, I mean, it's a fairly long district. I mean, I think it runs in the ballpark about 20 miles.
Right.
And, you know, so I think, I mean, just the different lives that people live. I mean, you know, the county has an impact on every single person that is in the district
Right.
in such different ways, from providing services to human services to basically providing roads and, you know, bridges. And so
Okay.
those are kind of the things that are really important to people, and they're important to me.
Right.
in
Is there
terms
a
of-
job description? Not to interrupt, is there a job description for a county commissioner? And for folks at home that maybe don't know what a county
Yeah.
commissioner is, what is a county commissioner and what's their job description for that?
Yeah, so in Hennepin County, which is the largest county in the state of Minnesota, you know, with a population of 1.2 million people, the county is broken down into 7 districts,
Right.
and those 7 districts are represented by a county commissioner each. So there are 7 county commissioners. The position, I mean, there really isn't a job description, but I mean, with regards to the position, I mean, you know, it's a couple things that are really important. I mean, one is they do policy work at the county level. 2 is they oversee a budget of $2.4 billion. 3 is, you know, they provide constituent services. And 4, I mean, they work with other government agencies such as the Met Council, the states, the cities, to do good work for the people of the county.
Sounds taxing. Sounds like a lot of work.
And yeah, it's taxing, and, you know, the county, I mean, collects the property taxes for everybody
Right.
as well, and divvies it up to the different cities, but also keeps its portion as well. So
Right.
it is taxing.
So when is the election? When is it?
The elections are November 6th.
Okay. And what do you guys need any support, volunteers?
Any day, anytime. Would love that.
And who do they contact for that?
They would contact our campaign. So blongyang.org, or the number is 612-968-2504. 612-968-2504.
Right, now say it in Hmong.
Tu number yo Châu Ý ó chua châu Yi ó chi sồn blau. Châu Ý ó chua châu Yi ó chi sồn blau.
Zhong Heng? Can I say Zhong Heng?
Zhong Heng.
You do a good job. You do a good job.
Yes.
You do a good job. So I notice you're getting some support from your wife too, your family. What do they think about all this stuff going on right now with you?
Well, so yeah, my wife, I mean, she's my biggest supporter. I mean, I think she's the reason why, we've done so well. My two kids are, 8 and 10, and, I think there are days when they like it and there are days when they don't like it. I mean, they're young kids, right? So it's, it's almost like they have to do this, or they feel like they have to do this, and so it's tough for them. Yeah.
Right. So several people are running against you, I'm assuming right now. What makes you qualified?
Yeah, so there, the primary winnowed down this field to just two. So there's two of us running, and what makes me qualified? Outside of the fact that I'm a lawyer by training. I served on the Minneapolis City Council for 4 years, and Minneapolis has a budget of $1.2 billion. And so, I've done this before. I was chair of Minneapolis's Public Safety Committee, and so, I've done work in terms of, overseeing different departments, or, working with different departments to run efficiently. And so I think, those are kind of the things that you need to be able to have to, help the county run a tight ship and to run an efficient and effective government. And so those are kind of, where I would come from.
Okay. And you currently live in what part of North Side are you living in?
Yeah, right now we live in the Camden Weber neighborhood,
Right.
which is roughly about 38th and Dowling.
Is that the same one you got broken into before?
No, that we were on about 27th and Logan. But I would tell you, I think a lot of my neighbors, have had one or two or maybe many more experiences like that.
Right.
I don't think those things are what define us as people who live in North Minneapolis.
Right.
I think North Minneapolis is a great place to live. We've lived there for about 17 years, and
Right.
I can't really see other places where I would want to live.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I tell you, the thing is, some people ask, why do you even live here? You have a choice, right? And that's the thing. Yes, I have a choice, and that's why I live there.
Right.
Yeah.
If I can I get up close and personal with you?
Sure.
On a personal note, when you really think about it, what do you want to do in this position as county commissioner, and what things do you honestly feel that you could possibly change?
What do I want to do? I think for me, it's just making government closer to the people, helping people to understand that the county does matter in their lives, letting people know that the government is there for them, the county is there for them, and that the county wants to do its best to help people and make people's lives better. Those are kind of the things that are really important for folks like me, because I think, with county government, I get the sense that people don't know what it does, and I get the sense that it's far away from people. And
Yeah, it probably is.
yeah,
Most people.
right. But in fact, it's right in their faces. You drive on a county road probably every single day. Some people receive services from the county. When you have issues related to your property taxes, sometimes it happens from the county level as well. And so it's any number of those things that really impact people.
Right. And one of the main reasons, Blong, I wanted to have you on was because a friend of mine told me about you, he really respects you, and people need to be able to get up close and personal and really hear your story.
Right.
And I thought this would be a good way to introduce people that maybe aren't aware of you, so that they can feel your heartbeat and feel your passion.
Right.
Because you need people that truly care. There's a lot of people that are in politics, it's, they have what I call hidden agendas.
Right.
They don't really care about people.
Right.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. As far as the Hmong people per se, when you look at, they're talking about Hiawatha right now and all these different areas of homelessness.
Right.
I don't really see that in the Hmong community. Is there a reason for that? Is it because it's such a close family where people tend to support each other? Or are there a lot of Hmong homeless people out there as well?
Yeah, the thing is, I think, people would have this sort of conventional wisdom that says, the Hmong community is tightly knit, they help each other, and they, prevent those issues from happening.
Right.
But the reality was that, I think about a decade ago, we did see, this sort of homelessness that happened in the Hmong community where, folks were going to Mary's Place and other places for shelter. And so, I don't think any community is immune from that.
Okay.
I think that sometimes, we allow these stereotypes to keep us, from thinking really hard about what really impacts real people, in specific communities. And I think, to take a step back from that, we realize, it happens to everybody, and that some people struggle with it. I mean, some people, maybe there are community supports that are there that help them a little bit more, but still, that's a problem that the county needs to figure out, all across the board. Even with this encampment that's happening along Hiawatha there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. And, driving down the street, and I mentioned that because I've never seen somebody that's even Asian standing on the corner holding a sign talking about, I need money.
Right.
When we grew up, it was always like, okay, can I wash your car? Can I mow your lawn? I need money.
Right.
That's what it was. We didn't stand out there all day looking for money that way.
Right.
And so I know there's a lot of people out there that have issues, and that there's definitely a need, but I was really wondering about that, especially in your position, how you look at those type of things.
Right. Well, as I said earlier, I have a Catholic background, and I think we need to take care of the people who are most in need. We need to take care of people who are most vulnerable. And I think for a country like ours, where we're the richest in the world, there is an obligation. And I think that's just I think that's based on our Christian values, but that should just be based on our humanity, that we take care of each other. And so I don't think that we can get away from that. I think that's core to who we are as Americans.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So if you were downtown right now and they had 500 people, my audience, 500 people, they're standing out there and you're getting up and you're talking about running for office, what would you say to those people? Because you want them to vote for you. What would you say to them?
Yeah, vote for me on November 6th. I think, for us, it's really important that the county provide good services to folks, at every stage of their lives, that we should be thinking about, infants. We should be also thinking about seniors and everybody in between, and that's with regards to human services. That's also with regards to housing, job development, those sorts of issues, I think the second issue that's really important for people is, we need to spend tax dollars wisely so that, we can cover all the services that are actually essential for the county, and we also have to look at public transit and, figure out how transportation works for everybody. Because, when we're talking about LRT, LRT is important and it's expensive, but it serves people, on the specific lines, in specific cities. And sometimes the cities that are far away from that, they're paying the burden, and so they're saying, well, what about us? And so I think, think about transportation in terms of, how it impacts everybody in this area or in the county.
Are you in favor of more of that? Because they were going to put one behind our building here.
Right,
and there's been kind of a stall on that.
Right. Southwest LRT, that's the line that
you're talking about. Is it going to go through? Yes.
I believe it's going to go through. For some folks, along, let's say, North Minneapolis, Golden Valley to Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, and cities in between like Robbinsdale, the Botno line is there as well. And so, that's going to go through too, hopefully. And, am I in favor of it? Yeah. I think LRT is good for all of us, in terms of economic development, but also in terms of moving people to jobs, out to the burbs, but also into the cities. And so, with Southwest LRT specifically, the numbers are about 30,000 jobs that can be accessed, from the end of it all the way to downtown Minneapolis. And so it's important.
Right. Good information, definitely. Folks at home, you've been watching Motivation with my guest, the one and only Blong Yang, who's running for county commissioner.
Blong Yang.
Blong Yang, I got it wrong. Yeah.
I get that all the time.
You know what? That's it. Folks at home, and they know this. The value of being 64 years of age, I can say it's because I'm a senior citizen. No matter how I look, hey, I'm 64. Come on, you're going to make mistakes. But pleasure having you on and
Thank
just
you so
sharing
much.
your story.
Yeah.
And folks at home, maybe you're watching the show. Maybe you've thought about running for politics. Don't let anything stop you. He's trying to change things in Minnesota. Maybe there's an area of your life that you'd like to make some changes. You can always call, Hennepin County? You're talking about what's the office for that? For if somebody's interested in getting involved in any level.
Oh, you can call my office. You can
call his office.
612-968-2504.
Exactly.
612-968-2504.
Right. So you can call Blong's office, and also you can call them and see if you want to participate and help for his volunteering, just to help get the word out about him and get this man elected. See, get him elected. Did you hear that? Elected to office. So Pleasure having you on. Folks at home and all that you do, continue watching Motivation. Be blessed. Stay fit. We're going to see you next time on Motivation. Shinchi Dua.
Shinji Dua. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
The things that I talk about, I live every single day of my life. I don't believe in bad days. All of that stuff goes with it. I haven't had a bad day in probably 30 years.
Doesn't matter how much money you have, it's how much health you have. The healthier you are, the more you can do. The longer you can do the things that you want to do. You say you can't do it? You say you're too old? I say you can. You are never too old to improve the quality of your life.
You come home not walking in the house like this. Hello, honey. Hello. How's the day? Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to get along, because you don't have any energy. But when you take care of yourself, you walk in the house with that energy. Lucy, I'm home. That's the one thing that you cannot buy, is good health. You have to earn it. Live life with passion, and remember, stay fit, stay positive. Thank you for your time. Give yourself a round of applause for being here. Honestly. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm the Fitness King, and I'm coming to get you for winning workouts.